Yeah, good morning, my good brothers and sisters. Today is Monday, and I bring you greetings from my little village in East Dulwich, London, UK. My name is George Kwakuyabwa, and as I've always done, today I just want us to take a short lesson from nature. What I have come to learn is that nature has a lot of lessons for humanity. In fact, there's a lot of wisdom in nature that has eluded many of us, so much that we tend to look for knowledge, wisdom, inspiration from places that elude us so much, when in fact within nature, our immediate environment, nature, it's embedded and replete with so much wisdom that we can learn from to guide ourselves daily. So today I would like us to take a look at nature again, and in today's discussion we will look at the eagle in relation to progress, development, growth, renewal, self-preservation. Yesterday I used the metaphor of the snake shedding its skin, the scales of snake that it sheds from time to time. I use that as a metaphor to reflect how some of the dead skins in our lives, bad attitudes, friends that have become enemies, that we need to take the hard decision of shedding from ourselves in order for us to move forward, to brighten, to carry, to be able to absorb more more sunlight, vitamin D, in order to function properly and to achieve our goal in life and to move quicker towards our goal. That was the metaphor I used in yesterday's lesson, that there are some friends in our lives whose usefulness to us have come to an end. In fact, they have ceased to be the friends we thought we knew. They have become enemies. They have actually become enemies. And that if we really want to progress, we will need to move away from those friends. I'm not saying all friends, I say some friends, especially those who, when they see, who would seize the least opportunity to make you lose every confidence in your life, to deplete every fiber of confidence that you have in yourself. Those are the friends who have actually become worse than your enemies, and that there comes a time you need to shed them. Forget about the many years of history, but you need to shed them out of your life. Right. Today's lesson is about, today's conversation is going to be about the eagle and how the eagle goes through the hard decision sometime in its life to remove all its feathers so it couldn't fly. The eagle goes into a place of solitude a place that no other creature can access in life, a place of solitude, in order to first use his beak, which has become dull, blunt, that can't harvest, that can't do what it needs to do in order to survive. You know, the eagle uses its wings and feathers to fly long distances. That is its strength. The eagle has its claws, its beak, and its wings are the only arsenals, ammunitions it has to survive in this life. So for the eagle to remain functional and to survive, all these three things must function at its maximum. It must be at its most efficient states, all three of them. The wings, the beak, and the claws, they must function properly. But you know, age and use will bring wear and tear to everything that is organic. It will bring wear and tear. So there comes a time in an eagle's life, once it reaches about 35 to 40 years, the beak becomes dull. It can't catch and cut properly. It can't catch the animals. It can't cut through. It can't pierce the animals the way it wants. It becomes dull. The same way its claws and its feathers become not very useful to it. So at a certain stage in an eagle's life, the eagle will have to remove itself to a place of solitude, far away from human habitation, far away from every other creature's habitation, because that is the moment of its worst vulnerability. The eagle is going to make itself vulnerable, extremely vulnerable, but then in a place of solitude. But then that vulnerability is where it's going to get its new strength to be able to live for another 30 years. So to be able to live longer and to make more progress, human beings, there comes a time we have to make ourselves vulnerable. We have to go through the pain of removing ourselves from the environment, the people that we think are our circle of people, the network we have. Some of them, we have to go through the pain. We have to make ourselves go through the pain of losing them in our lives. Like the eagle has to lose its claws, its feathers, and its beak at a certain stage. What the eagle does is that, like I said, it removes itself to a far place where no other creature can prey on it, and uses his beak to first unpluck its feathers, all its feathers, to unpluck the old feathers. After doing that, the eagle is going to use its own beak to strike something, to apply it onto any hard surface, wood, what come what, so much that the claws will become sore, the beak will become sore, become weak, and come off the same way as those of us who know how to prepare, how to butcher chicken or any so when you butcher chicken and you are dressing the chicken, once you apply hot water to it, you are able to rip off the hard covering of the beak, the same as you can rip off what covers the scales of its claws and the feet of chicken. So those who understand dressing of chicken, I'm sure would appreciate what I'm saying. So the eagle will have to remove the hard covering of its beak, its mouth, the same mouth that the eagle needs to be able to attack other animals, to be able to hunt, to be able to catch other animals in order to survive. The eagle is going to remove that by itself. It is a decision the eagle must take. It is the hard decision the eagle must take in order to do that. And the eagle is aware also that that moment is a painful one. That experience is a painful one, but a very necessary decision it must take and must endure the pain if it wants to live another 30 more years. Reason being that that beak is not going to be able to be efficient in it harvesting its food. So if it continues that way, the eagle is going to die a natural death and slowly doing so. Right. So that is more or less the background. This is going to be a much lengthier conversation. And if you can afford to spend about 20-30 minutes to listen, it will be good. But the message, I think, is clear already, that there comes a time we will need to take the hard decision to lose certain things in our life, certain things that we have outgrown, certain things that have become inimical to our progress. We would have to get rid of them in order to make progress. It comes a time. There are certain habits, there are certain learned behaviors, there are certain friends, there are certain people, there are certain jobs, there are certain things in our lives that there comes a time we must make that difficult decision to move away from, distance ourselves from them. That is what I want us to discuss today. So that is more or less the phase one of the discussion. So let's make progress. So today's program is all about lessons from nature, the metaphor of the eagle for self-preservation and renewal. So we are talking about renewal and self-preservation in the context of progress. Right, so what is progress? We want to define and understand what is progress. Progress is not just any movement. If you are going backwards, it is retrogression. It is not progress. If you are moving sideways, well, it must be sideways to a certain destination. If you are moving forward, it must be to a certain destination. If you are moving the other way, it must always be to a certain destination. A destination that must bring advance a known target. A destination, you must have a target. And any movement that brings you nearer that target is called progress. Any movement that brings you one notch closer to that destination, that target, is progress. So progress is effectively development towards an improved or more advanced condition. What counts as a means of advancing towards the end result of a given defined goal. And some also say the final destination or end result is to achieve success. However, to achieve the destination, you must go through stages of progress, day in and day out, and in phases. To progress means to move over a period of time to a stronger, more advanced, or more desirable state. So already I'm sure the metaphor of the eagle's renewal. It's making sense. Progress is a means to move over a period of time to a stronger, more advanced, or a more desirable state. So that is effectively what we want to define progress to mean. If you want to make progress, you must have a bigger picture that this is what I want to achieve as a result, as an end goal. And any step you take towards that is called progress. The thing is that in life, there are very few short distances. They are all marathons. And so a marathon, you have a beginning, you have various stops, and then you have a final destination. So life is more of a marathon than anything else. Right. Sorry. Again, let's go further. So we have some synonyms for progress, such as maturity. So if you are maturing, you are growing from one phase to another, you are maturing. Your horizon is becoming bigger. You are understanding things much more complex things are making sense to you than before. That is progress. Advancements. You are reaching higher, and you are achieving the goals in bits and pieces, in phases. So you are making advancement. You are growing. Like I've grown. You see, my beard is becoming white. Yes, I'm growing. I didn't used to have beard at all. Now I have beard to the extent that they are becoming white. Yes, so that is growth, natural growth. Development, adaptation, to be able to adapt to situation, to have the capacity to adapt to situations that come to you, that flexibility to adapt and not see things as one dimension, so that where you have to bend, you still keep going straight. Where you have to duck and dive, you have to dive deep into the water in order that maybe some hazards will flow over. Where you have to keep quiet and not say anything at all. Where sometimes you have to speak up in order to achieve the result you wanted. Where you must feign timidity. Sometimes you must pretend as though you are a coward in order for peace to prevail. All of that intelligence is all part of adaptation. Change is part of our life. And then renewal. These are all progress. Moving forward. Everything I've said so far, if you want to use the phrase moving forward, we are talking about progress. Moving forward. Any forward movement positively is towards a goal, is called progress. So those are the synonyms that we can use for progress. So progress itself isn't a destination reached in a single leap. Like I said, to make progress, you just can't jump, bam, and say, I've made progress. No, it's a journey marked by incremental steps. Progress is a journey marked by incremental steps. Each one bringing us closer to our goal. Each one step should be bringing us to our goals. The attraction of perfection. You see, sometimes people, we want to do things so perfect that the thought of perfection. As for me, I don't want to fail. I want to succeed at once. That thought paralyzes us from making that step. The fear of failure. They stop us from ever beginning that one step. The fear that I will fail. The fear of pain. Hey, if I do this thing, I think it is painful. Yes, the fear of losing your friends, the fear of being lonely, the fear of not having anybody to advise you when you are, the fear of not having anybody to gossip with, the fear of not having anybody to stand up for you when you need it most. Those are some of the things that stop you from achieving your goal. Those are some of the things that stop you from ever starting at all. The fear that I may fail, or that if I fail, I'll be embarrassed by friends, or if I want to take the hard decision, it will be so painful that I would rather not start at all. I won't do it at all. So those are some of the things that stop us from achieving, from starting all together. So the difference between those who have made it in life and those of us who are still struggling is that we have failed to start at all because we are afraid to fail. That fear of failure, that thought of pain, that thought of losing everything we have, that feeling of loneliness that we know comes with standing out there, makes us weary so much that we don't get to start at all. Yes, please, let's take that into consideration. So if the eagle had thought of the pain removing its beak was going to cause, the pain it was going to go through removing its beak and nursing the wound for so long before growing another one, it wouldn't have done it altogether. But not doing it also means that the eagle has signed its death warrant in a very short time. Because if you don't harvest efficiently, you are going to die in no time, because they don't eat the same food. They don't eat banku and okra stew like me and you. What they eat, they need sharper beaks and claws in order to harvest. So you see where the fear of pain, going through pain, I would rather defer the pain than go through it. So the moment you defer that pain or postpone it altogether, or decide not to go through that pain, you are effectively signing your death warrant. The moment you say, you know what, this friend I've known this guy for so many years, we've been together, for all these years, so I can't afford to make that decision, then of course you have signed your death warrant. Especially that God has revealed to you that that friend is now more than an enemy, and that they are the ones holding you back. If that has been dropped on your heart, has been revealed to you, well, you must be ready to go through the pain. Yes, you must be ready to go through the pain of being lonely for some time. It is a hard decision, and until you take the hard decisions, the benefits are never going to come to you. Yes, that's the difference between us and those who have made progress. Good. So that is, again, another lesson from the eagle. The eagle will remove its feathers. Once you don't have feathers, the eagle is not going to be able to fly. It's not going to be able to fly. Once the eagle doesn't fly, can it harvest? The eagle is not going to be able to harvest. So it means once the eagle doesn't catch animals, the eagle is not going to be able to feed itself. So that moment of starvation, fasting, the eagle is aware of that. But that will still not deter the eagle from taking the hard decision. The reason being that if it did not take the hard decision, the eagle knows that it was going to die a natural death sooner than if he does so. So the lesson is that once the eagle goes through the hard times, that painful moment, that moment of loneliness and solitude, it grows new beak, new feathers, which makes it even stronger. And now the claws become more sharper, like they have renewed the strength of the eagle. And if the eagle launches an attack on any of its prey, the success rate is increased as though the eagle is a fresh born eagle which had just started life again. And according to material that I have read and learned, the eagle would have added 30 years to its life by just going through that difficult moment of self-renewal through pain. Self-renewal through pain would have preserved the eagle's life for an additional 30 years. So that's a very good lesson I think we can also draw from the eagle. Yes, you see, I'm discussing this along the lines of how we can make progress. You see, there are 3 P's of success. Obviously, once we are talking of progress, we are talking of success. There are 3 P's of success. 3 P's. There are 3 P, the letter P, as in Papa. So there are 3 P's of success. The first P is purpose, the end goal. Purpose. What do I want to do? Where do I want to go? Where do I want to be? What do I want to achieve? That is the purpose. That is your focus. That is the end goal. And then, well, I know I have to be, let's say, I have to travel from point A to point B. And it is 1,000 kilometers. Obviously, to the eye, it must look a very daunting task. But that is what I need to achieve. What is going to sustain me from point A to point B? That going through all that daunting task, which of course is going to have different, you are going to go climb mountains, you are going to go through valleys, you are going to cross rivers, you are going to go through all different terrains in order to reach that point B. What is going to sustain you? It is passion, which is another P. So the first one is purpose. The second one is passion. You must have passion, because if you are not passionate about something, there are a million distractions that will dissuade you from that purpose. So you have a purpose, it's not enough. You must have passion to achieve that purpose, because distractions will come. Things that the devil will throw along your way. Friends will come, oh, why are you doing this? Why do you even want to do this at all? Even your own family. People who are going to say negative stuff to just make you not achieve, or sometimes they make you look stupid. Some friends will come to you, and sometimes they use your past. You, the person they knew from old, they can use it to just a way of telling you you cannot. Why do you even want to do this? Why are you this? We all have been witnesses. We've experienced it before. So friends have tried to prevent us from achieving our purposes in life. Yes. Why not do this instead? So you must have passion for what you want to do. And then you must have perseverance. Another P, the 3 P's, which are key to achieving success. You must have perseverance. Fact is that success is often not a short distance. It is always a marathon. In fact, it is full. To achieve success, you must climb mountains, you must go through valleys, you must cross rivers, sometimes you must fly and go run, jog, climb, descend, and go through all the phases, the vagaries of life in order to achieve success in most cases. Yeah, so you must also have perseverance. Passion alone is not enough. Passion is emotive. It is coming from your emotions. Sometimes it may not be rational. It is more of emotions. But then you must have perseverance. The perseverance to wait and know that time would reveal it all in the end. Time in the end will make it all come together. It would not happen in one day. So to persevere, wait. The Bible says that they that wait upon the Lord shall renew their strength. I'm sure we all know that, and then we will fly. You see, again, that Bible verse is talking about the eagle. Yeah, we will soar higher like the eagle does. Yes, if the eagle did not wait upon the Lord, renew his strength. If the eagle did not renew its strength, did not pluck its feathers, did not remove its own beak and claws and allow renewal to happen, it won't fly that high even after 40 years. All right. So that is that. Well, that is just about the metaphor. But what I want us to draw as lesson from this is that self-preservation is a conscious decision you must take. I must take. All of us must take at certain stages of our life. Self-preservation is very, very, very important. In order for us to make progress, we must learn to preserve ourselves. We must learn to take away the stress that others, the environment brings upon us, which become the burden, which become like the dead skin we carry. We must learn at some stage in life to cut all those away from our lives. It must not be a halfway decision. When we decide, if the eagle had decided to just pluck its feathers but leave the beak, because the beak would be painful to remove, it would have done it halfway, and that obviously was not going to allow for a total renewal of strength. Yes, it would have been halfway done, and the end result, or again, would not be for the eagle to add the 30 or so years to its life. It would have been less. It would have been less efficient if the eagle was to use that half strength to achieve the target, the focus, the objective of catching animals. So, like I said, solitude. If you are going to achieve your objective, there must come a time you have to be alone. You must accept that. Solitude. Because the eagle does so in solitude. Yes, sometimes you have to work on your own. You must work in secret. You must work in your privacy. You can't always be out there in the open. Sometimes you have to hide your vulnerabilities from everybody else in order for you to do the introspection and self-renewal that requires of you in order to progress. Yes. If you don't do that, if you don't take yourself from the crowd at a certain stage in your life, that is as good as a gradual decline, and at the end result will be death. Yes. Because in the same way, there are seasons in our lives when certain company must be released entirely. There are seasons in our lives that some company has to be released entirely. Not because they are evil, not because they are evil, but because they belong to a chapter that has ended. And like I said, some of our friends, they belong to a chapter of our lives that has ended. And sometimes they show it to us in the most vicious ways, in the most difficult and challenging and vicious ways. Once you see that it is a cue, you must remove yourself from that. You see, familiarity can quietly sabotage your progress because you are too familiar with them. No matter how hard they hit you, how they pierce you to your soul, how their words cut deep, how they soil your image that has come to your notice now, you still tag along because you are too familiar with them. The eagle is telling us that there are times you have to be alone. You have to accept that solitude at certain stages in our life is good for that introspection and renewal. So you must learn to be lonely sometimes. Yes, sometimes remove yourself from the crowd in order to grow, in order to reflect and grow. It is very necessary part of life. Yes. Distance is not arrogance. Neither is silence betrayal. You can decide to be silent, and then cutting people off sometimes is self-preservation. Cutting people off your life sometimes is self-preservation. And that I want you to understand and take on board. It is something I would like everyone listening to this video. It is quite a long one, but it is important. You see, because once the eagle goes through all of these and he returns to the sky, he does not circle the same low heights. This time, the eagle is able to fly higher. He doesn't circle around where everyday birds fly anymore. The eagle goes way higher than he used to do before. So his vision, now the eagle can see more animals and more juicy ones, bigger animals to attack. And if it goes down to attack, the precision is 100%. That is what that moment of solitude, reflection, and self-renewal does to us. Cutting yourself from all those people, removing yourself from bad company, removing yourself from people who were once your friends, but have now become inimical to your progress. Removing yourself from them, doing that self-reflection, taking the best of decisions for yourself in that moment of solitude makes you like the eagle that has renewed its strength, that has added another 30 years to its life, that has become even more efficient, that has now gained a bigger vision that it does because it is now flying more higher and higher. And this year, 2026, that is my message for you. that we should learn to depart from those we need to depart from, to drop habits that we need to drop in our lives, to drop some lifestyles that do not help our progress, to learn new ways of doing things in advancement of our purpose in life. That is my message for you. Learn to hibernate. If you want to progress, be brave enough to hibernate and be wise enough to choose who is allowed in your next season. I want to repeat this one. If you want to progress in this life, you must be brave to hibernate and also be wise enough to choose who is allowed in your next phase. The lesson is that if you are ever going to progress, self-preservation is key, and isolation and solitude is also key. When you come out of your isolation and you come out renewed and reinvigorated, you must know who can be part of that new life of yours. Thank you, and God bless you. May God give you the strength of mind to take that hard decision in the year 2026. Adios. My name is George Kwaku Yeboah.